Rebecca announced our miracle baby to the entire congregation after Sunday service. Everyone cheered. The live stream was still recording. 8,000 people watching from home. Staff surrounded us, hugging, praising God for this blessing. I was doing the math in my head. 8 weeks pregnant, according to the ultrasound she held up for the cameras. 8 weeks meant conception in mid-July. I looked at that date, printed right there on the glossy thermal paper, the black and white image of something the size of a raspberry, and my chest went cold. I was in Kenya in mid-July, baptizing orphans in Nairobi, leading a mission team for 3 weeks. I have the passport stamps, the photos, the WhatsApp messages with Rebecca from 8,000 miles away, 2,200 people in the sanctuary, all of them congratulating us. Elder Thomas Reed gripped my shoulder, tears in his eyes. God is so good, Marcus, so good. Rebecca glowed. She touched her stomach and smiled for the cameras. She'd always wanted another baby. We'd tried for years after Sophia. Nothing took. And now, at 39, this miracle. I smiled. I hugged people. I thanked them for their prayers. And I calculated the dates again and again. The timeline didn't work. Biologically, it was impossible, unless. We drove home in silence. Sophia had texted from Chapel Hill. She'd seen the live stream. OMG, Dad! A baby sister or brother? I'm so happy! 3 exclamation points, all caps. My daughter, 21 years old, studying social work, preparing to save the world. I wanted to text back. I wanted to tell her I loved her. I wanted to warn her. Instead, I put my phone down. Rebecca reached for my hand as I drove. You're quiet. Just processing, I said. It's a lot. It's a blessing. Yes. Her hand felt different in mine. Or maybe my hand felt different. Maybe everything felt different now. We pulled into the faculty housing on campus, church-owned property where staff lived. Students walked by our house on their way to classes. They waved. They knew us. Pastor Marcus and Rebecca. The perfect ministry couple, featured in last year's denominational magazine, building God's kingdom together. I helped Rebecca out of the car. She was radiant, happy, touching that silver cross necklace she'd started wearing everywhere, the one that caught the light when she moved. I'm going to lie down, she said. The first trimester exhaustion is real. Sure, rest. She kissed my cheek, went inside. I stood in the driveway, looked at our house, 20 years of marriage, 8 years as senior pastor, 15 years in ministry total. I'd built this life on truth. That's what I taught. That's what I preached every Sunday to 2,200 people. I built my life on truth. I won't rebuild it on lies. That's what I'd always said. Now I needed to know if I'd been living one. I waited until Tuesday evening. Rebecca had choir practice. She directed the worship team, 25 voices strong. I heard her leave, heard her car pull out. Then I went to work, our bedroom first. I wasn't sure what I was looking for. Signs, evidence, proof that my mind was making patterns where none existed. That I was paranoid, stressed, that the mission trip had exhausted me more than I realized. I opened drawers carefully, put things back exactly as I found them. Rebecca's jewelry box, her closet, nothing unusual, nothing I wouldn't expect to find in my wife's possessions after 20 years. Then my office, our home office. Technically, we shared it. Dual desks, his and hers bookcases, 20 years of accumulated theology books, and ministry resources and family photos. I found it in my desk drawer. The wedding Bible, burgundy, leather, gold embossed initials on the cover, M and R, our initials. The leather was worn soft from 2 decades of Sunday mornings. I'd carried this Bible to the pulpit for years before I switched to my tablet. Rebecca still used it sometimes. She liked the margins, the notes we'd written to each other in the early years. I opened it. The spine cracked in that particular way old books do. The pages were dog-eared at our favorite passages. And there, pressed between the Psalms, was the dried flower from Rebecca's wedding bouquet, 20 years old, fragile as tissue paper. It smelled like old leather and memories. That's where I found the hotel receipt. It was tucked between Psalm 23 and Psalm 24. The Lord is my shepherd and the earth is the Lord's. The Fairmont Olympic Hotel, Seattle, room 2847, 2 nights, charged to Rebecca's credit card, dated June 15th, the same weekend as the Pacific Northwest Women's Ministry Conference, the one Rebecca said she attended alone, the one she came back from excited, energized, full of new ideas. I stared at the receipt. Premium room, king bed, $240 per night. My hands weren't shaking. That surprised me. I thought they should be shaking. I pulled up the church calendar on my phone. June 15th, Saturday, Sunday, that weekend. I searched my email, found the staff schedule. John Castellano, our associate pastor for community outreach, had requested those same days off, personal time. I'd approved it without question. John had been with us 18 months. Brilliant young guy, 36 years old, coding prodigy turned pastor. Everyone loved him. I'd mentored him. Room 2847, the same weekend. I put the receipt back where I found it, closed the Bible, put it back in the drawer. The same weekend, Rebecca said she went alone to that women's conference. Wednesday morning, staff meeting, 11 of us around the conference table in the church administration building, going over the fall programming, discussing the Thanksgiving charity gala, our biggest fundraiser of the year, 8 weeks away. November 24th, John sat across from me, navy blazer, white shirt, that easy smile that made people trust him instantly. He was presenting the community outreach metrics, foster care partnerships, homeless shelter collaborations, food bank distributions. And I think, John said, if we can get Rebecca to sing at the gala, maybe a duet with someone from the worship team, it would really drive home the emotional connection. Music opens hearts, opens wallets. Everyone nodded. Elder Reed loved the idea. Pastor Linda Okafor, our associate pastor for women's ministry, said it was brilliant. Rebecca and I could do something together, John continued. We've been talking about collaborating on a worship piece. Haven't we, Rebecca? Rebecca smiled. We have. Something for the Christmas season originally, but the gala would be perfect. Great, I heard myself say. That sounds great. John's wrist caught the light as he gestured. He was wearing a watch, sapphire blue face, titanium band, expensive, the kind of watch you save up for, or someone gives you. I'd seen that watch before. Last year, our 20th anniversary, Rebecca gave me a watch. Same brand, same model, different face. Mine was black. She'd saved for months, she said, wanted to get me something special, something that showed how much I meant to her. Built together, she'd said when she gave it to me. 20 years, this watch. Every time you check it, remember we built this life together. I wore it every day. John was wearing the blue version, the sapphire face. I watched him through the rest of the meeting, watched the way he moved his hands when he spoke, the way Rebecca glanced at him when she thought no one was looking, the way his fingers brushed hers when they passed papers across the table. Maybe I was imagining it. Maybe I was seeing things that weren't there because I wanted an explanation for the hotel receipt, for the Kenya timeline, for the growing sick feeling in my stomach. After the meeting, I found myself in the sanctuary, empty on a Wednesday afternoon, 2,000 seats, stained glass windows casting colored light across the polished wood pews. I knelt at the altar, tried to pray. Nothing came. Thursday morning, Rebecca had early choir practice. I stayed home, told her I had sermon prep. I went to her car instead. She drove a silver Lexus SUV, a gift from her parents when she made music director 5 years ago. I'd only been in it a handful of times. She was particular about her car, kept it immaculate. I opened the driver's door. The interior smelled like her vanilla perfume. Everything was organized, no trash, no clutter, CDs in the console, worship music mostly, some classical, some jazz. I opened the glove compartment, insurance papers, registration, owner's manual. Then I found the journal. It was wedged behind the registration, like someone had shoved it there quickly. Ocean blue leather, small enough to fit in a purse. Elegant, expensive looking. I pulled it out. The leather was smooth, cool to the touch. I opened to a random page, purple ink, Rebecca's handwriting, her distinctive loops and curves. I'd recognize it anywhere. 20 years of anniversary cards and love notes and grocery lists. The entry was dated March 23rd, last year. Met with Jay today to plan the marriage enrichment program. 3 hours. Coffee became dinner, became wine, became confession. He sees me, really sees me. Not the music director, not the pastor's wife, just me. M has been distant for months, always at some conference, some counseling session, some board meeting. When's the last time M looked at me the way Jay looked at me today? J. John. My mouth went dry. I flipped to another entry. May 5th. We kissed today, in M's office, while M was leading a baptism class in the sanctuary. The irony isn't lost on me. Jay said he's never felt this way before, that I'm unlike anyone he's ever known, that my mind, my voice, my passion for worship, it's intoxicating. I know this is wrong. I know. But when did right ever feel this good? Another entry. June 17th, 2 days after the hotel receipt. Seattle was perfect. The conference was boring. We barely attended any sessions, spent most of the weekend in the room. Jay is everything M used to be. Attentive, present, hungry for me. M has become so comfortable in our marriage. Assumes I'll always be here. Jay makes no assumptions. Jay fights for every moment. I couldn't stop reading. 47 entries, spanning 18 months. From met Jay during enrichment planning to last week's entry, dated just 3 weeks ago. Pregnant, terror and joy in equal measure. I think it might be Jay's. The timing lines up. M was in Kenya. But I can't tell Jay yet. Can't tell anyone. I'll tell M it's his. He'll never question me. He's too trusting, too good. That's always been his weakness. The journal slipped from my hands, landed on the car floor with a soft thud. She'd planned this. The pregnancy announcement, the public celebration. She'd planned to lie to me, to let me believe for 18 years that I was raising John's child. I picked up the journal, read the rest. The last entry, dated last Tuesday, the day after she told the congregation, M is so happy. It breaks my heart. He believes this is our miracle, his miracle. I watch him calculating our future, nursery colors, names, how he'll balance pastoring with being an older father, and I feel nothing but guilt and relief. Because if he believes the baby is his, then maybe Jay and I can figure out what comes next. Maybe we can find a way. M will never know. He's too busy being everyone's shepherd to notice his own wife slipping away. I closed the journal, put it back exactly where I'd found it, behind the registration. My hands still weren't shaking. That still surprised me. I went back inside, sat at my desk, stared at my computer screen, tried to make sense of what I'd just read. Rebecca, my wife, the woman I'd loved for 23 years, the woman I'd built a ministry with, the woman who'd stood beside me through church splits and financial crises, and my father's death and her mother's cancer. She'd been having an affair with my colleague, my mentee, the man I'd hired, the man I'd welcomed into our church, our home, our lives, for 18 months. And now she was pregnant with his child. If you've ever felt that moment when you realize you've been missing the signs right in front of you, the small things that didn't add up but you explained away, just type, "I see it now" in the comments. Sometimes we don't want to see what's right there. You're not alone in that. But I couldn't unsee it anymore. Friday evening. Rebecca was at a women's Bible study. Sophia was at school. I was alone. I needed one more thing, one final piece. The thing that would either prove me wrong or confirm what I already knew. I went to her piano. Rebecca played piano for the church, led worship from the keys. The baby grand in our living room was her sanctuary. She practiced there every morning, ran through hymns and contemporary worship songs, worked out arrangements. The piano bench had a cushion top, lifted up, storage underneath for sheet music. I lifted the cushion, sheet music as expected. Handel, Bach, Chris Tomlin, Hillsong, stacks of it, organized by season and theme. And underneath, hidden at the very bottom, a phone, not her iPhone, a different phone, a Nokia, the old kind, the flip phone from 2010 that nobody used anymore unless they were trying to hide something. Black plastic, scratched, cheap. When I opened it, the plastic creaked with that distinctive flip phone sound. The screen glowed green. No contacts saved, no call history, but the messages, 347 messages, all between two numbers, no names, just numbers. I clicked on the first conversation, scrolled back to the beginning, March 10th, last year, right after John joined the staff. Rebecca, got the phone. This one's just for us. Delete everything after reading. X. John, you're brilliant and careful. I like that. X. I scrolled forward, message after message, 18 months of secrets. June 14th, Rebecca, room 2847, checking in now. Told him it's a women's conference. He believed me instantly. That's the thing about good men. They don't expect lies. John, be there in 2 hours. Can't wait to have you all weekend. No interruptions, no pretending. August 3rd, John. When you lead worship and I'm sitting in the third row, I imagine my hands in your hair, my mouth on yours. How do you focus? Rebecca, I focus by singing to you, not to God. Every love song becomes about us. M has no idea. September 27th, Rebecca, what if M finds out? John, he won't. He's too busy saving everyone else to notice his own wife. That's what makes him a great pastor and a mediocre husband. I kept scrolling. Every message, another knife, another layer of betrayal. Then 3 months ago, the message that made my hands start shaking. Rebecca, I'm late, took a test, positive. John, shit, are you sure? Rebecca, 3 tests, all positive. It has to be yours. M was in Kenya the week it happened. John, what are you going to do? Rebecca, I don't know, I'm scared. John, we'll figure it out. Maybe this is a sign that we're supposed to be together. Rebecca, I can't leave M. Not now, the church, his career, Sophia. It would destroy everything. John, then what? And then the message that ended everything. Rebecca, I'll tell M it's his. He'll never question me. He's too trusting, too good. That's his weakness. We can figure out what to do later, after the baby's born, after things settle down. John, and if it looks like me? Rebecca, it won't. And even if it does, babies don't look like anyone at first. We'll have time. John, you're sure about this? Rebecca, I'm sure I can't lose you, and I can't lose M. Not yet, so yes, I'm sure. I scrolled to the most recent messages. From this week, Tuesday, the day after the announcement. John. Saw the live stream. Congratulations, I guess. This is really happening? Rebecca, it has to. There's no other way. M is so happy. It breaks my heart, but maybe this is better. Maybe we can keep both. Keep us. Keep the life I've built. John. And when the baby's born? When it needs a birth certificate? Rebecca. We'll deal with that then. For now, just play along. Act happy for M. Act like the supportive colleague. We have time. John. I love you. Rebecca. I love you too. Delete these. 347 messages. I scrolled through all of them, every detail of the affair, every late night in his apartment, every stolen moment in my office, while I was counseling couples about marriage, every lie she told me, every time she said, I love you, while texting him the same thing. By the end, I wasn't angry. I was just empty. I closed the phone, put it back under the sheet music, lowered the piano bench cushion, everything exactly as I'd found it. Then I walked to my office, sat at my desk, and I made a list, evidence, timeline, witnesses who might have seen something, legal options, who to trust, how to protect Sophia, how to protect the church, how to protect myself from the wreckage of a marriage that had been dead for 18 months while I'd been too busy being everyone's shepherd to notice my own wife slipping away. 347 messages. I scrolled back to the beginning one more time, March of last year, right after John joined the staff, right after I mentored him, right after I welcomed him into my church, my home, my life. Right after I made the biggest mistake of my ministry career. Saturday morning, I called Elder Thomas Reed. Marcus, good morning. How are you feeling? Big news this week. Thomas, I need to see you. Today, privately. A pause. Of course, my home office, 2 o'clock? I'll be there. Elder Reed lived 10 minutes from the church. Retired attorney, 70 years old. He'd been with Grace Community since before I was born. He'd baptized me, ordained me, watched me grow from the pastor's son to the senior pastor myself. If there was anyone I could trust, it was him. His home office smelled like old books and pipe tobacco, floor-to-ceiling shelves, leather chairs, a massive oak desk that had seen decades of legal work before his retirement. I sat across from him, didn't know how to start. Son, he said gently, what's wrong? I pulled out my phone, opened the photos I'd taken, the hotel receipt, the journal pages, screenshots of the burner phone messages. I'd photographed every single one before putting the phone back. I handed him the phone without a word. He scrolled. His face didn't change. Years of courtroom training probably, but his jaw tightened, his eyes hardened. After 10 minutes, he set the phone down. How far along is Rebecca? 8 weeks. And you were in Kenya 9 weeks ago for 3 weeks. He nodded slowly, picked up the church gala program from last year. I'd brought it with me, the one showing Rebecca's hand on John's shoulder in the staff photo. I should have seen this, Elder Reed said quietly. I should have noticed. You couldn't have known. Marcus, I need to tell you something. He leaned forward. John Castellano. Before he came to us, he was at a church in Portland, community Bible church, medium-sized congregation, about 800 people. Okay? He was an associate pastor there too, stayed 18 months, then left suddenly. Personal reasons, they said. I called the senior pastor there when we were considering John for hire. Got a lukewarm recommendation. Nothing specific, just lukewarm. I should have pressed harder. My stomach dropped. Thomas, what are you saying? I called that pastor yesterday, after the pregnancy announcement. Something felt off to me. I couldn't explain it, just a feeling. So I called. He met my eyes. John had an affair with the worship leader's wife. She was married, 2 kids. The affair lasted 14 months before the husband found out, confronted John. John denied everything at first, then admitted it, resigned before they could fire him. The couple divorced. The church nearly split over it. Jesus Christ. The pastor there said John was brilliant, charismatic. Everyone loved him, right up until they found out what he'd been doing. Elder Reed shook his head. Marcus, this has happened before. We sat in silence. Finally, I said, what do I do? What do you want to do? I want the truth, all of it. I want to know if that baby is mine or his. I want evidence that will hold up. My voice cracked. I want my daughter to understand why I'm about to blow up her entire world. Then we document everything, properly, legally, and we prepare for the consequences. The church will survive, Elder Reed said firmly. We've survived worse. But Marcus, you need to decide. Do you confront them now, or do you wait until you have all the pieces in place? I thought about Rebecca, about John. about standing in front of 2,200 people every Sunday, preaching about truth and fidelity and covenant while living this lie. I thought about Sophia, about the pregnancy, about what would happen if I waited too long. I wait, I said. I get the evidence, I get the paternity test, I prepare the legal response, and then I act. How long? 2 weeks, maybe 3. The Thanksgiving Gala is 8 weeks away. Board elections are 6 weeks. If this goes public before then, it could destroy the church, Elder Reed finished. It could destroy everything. He nodded. Then we move carefully. We move smart. And Marcus, he gripped my hand. You're not alone in this. This has happened before, Marcus. John had done this at his previous church. Monday evening, 7 o'clock. The church administration building was empty. Most staff went home by 5:30. I'd waited in my office, door locked, lights off. Then I walked down the hall to John's office. I didn't knock. He was at his computer, looked up, startled. Marcus, hey, I thought everyone had left. We need to talk. Something flickered in his eyes, wariness. Sure, of course, what's up? I closed the door behind me, locked it. I found the hotel receipt, I said, from the Fairmont Olympic, room 2847, June 15th. His face went carefully blank. I don't know what you're talking about. I found Rebecca's journal, 47 entries, 18 months, every detail. He stood up. Marcus, I found the burner phone, 347 messages, including the ones where you discuss my wife's pregnancy, including the ones where she says she'll lie to me about it being mine. Listen, no. My voice was steel. You listen. I know everything. The affair, the Seattle trip, the pregnancy, the plan to pass off your child as mine, all of it. John leaned against his desk, ran his hand through his hair, that easy smile gone, replaced by something harder, colder. Okay, he said finally. Fine, yes. Rebecca and I have been seeing each other, but Marcus, you have to understand, she came to me. She was lonely. You're never home. Always at some conference, some retreat, some counseling session. She needed someone to see her, to really see her. So you fucked my wife in my office while I was teaching about covenant. He flinched. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? It was real. What we have, it's real. She loves me, Marcus. Maybe she loves you too. I don't know. But what she has with me, it's different. It's passionate. It's alive. I walked closer. He shifted, uncomfortable. Is the baby yours? I don't know. Don't lie to me. I'm not lying. She said it could be either. The timing is impossible. I was in Kenya when that child was conceived. You know it. She knows it. The baby is yours. He stared at me. Then something changed in his expression. The discomfort vanished, replaced by calculation. Okay, he said slowly. Say the baby is mine. So what? You can't prove it until it's born. And Marcus, you go public with this? You expose us? Think about what happens to your career, to Rebecca's reputation, to Sophia. I've thought about it. Have you? He leaned back against the desk, crossed his arms. Because I've been thinking about it too, and here's what I think. You're an abusive husband, emotionally distant, controlling. Rebecca's been trying to leave you for months, but you've been manipulating her, threatening her. She finally found someone who treats her right, me, and now you're retaliating. My blood went cold. You're threatening me. I'm telling you how this will look. The Me Too era, Marcus, who do they believe? The powerful male pastor or the vulnerable female victim? He smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. I'll tell everyone you're emotionally abusive, that Rebecca was running from you to me for safety, that this baby, if it's mine, is her escape from a toxic marriage. I'll make you the villain, and people will believe me. You're a coward. I'm a realist. And the reality is you can't win this. Even if you expose the affair, even if you prove the baby's mine, you lose your church, your reputation, everything you've built. Is that really worth it? For your pride? I stepped back, looked at him, This man I'd hired, this man I'd mentored, this man I'd trusted with my church, my ministry, my life. I think we're done here, I said. Smart choice. I unlocked the door, turned back. John, one more thing. I know about Portland, Community Bible Church, the worship leader's wife, 14 months. That affair ended when the husband found out, when you got exposed. His face drained of color. This isn't your first time, I continued. It's a pattern, and patterns don't change. You'll do this again, to someone else, at some other church, unless someone stops you. I walked out, closed the door behind me. John sat in my chair, and smiled. You can't prove the baby's mine. And if you go public, I'll tell everyone you're an abusive husband. Tuesday morning, I called Dr. James Chen. James had been our family physician for 12 years, member of Grace Community, discreet, trustworthy. If I needed medical documentation, he'd help me get it properly. We met at his clinic, private consultation room. He closed the door. Marcus, good to see you, though I'm guessing this isn't a social call. I need a paternity test. His expression didn't change. For the baby Rebecca's carrying? Yes. Does she know you're requesting this? No, and I need it done quietly. No insurance billing, no records, I'll pay cash. He studied me for a long moment. Marcus, I've known you a long time, and I've never seen you look like this. What's going on? I told him. Not everything, just enough. The timeline, the Kenya trip, the biological impossibility. When I finished, he nodded slowly. I can arrange it. Non-invasive prenatal paternity test. Blood draw from Rebecca. I can do it at her next prenatal appointment. She won't question it. Blood draw from you. Takes about 2 weeks for results. 2 weeks? Yes, but Marcus. He met my eyes. Before we do this, are you prepared for what comes next? There's no going back from the truth. I thought about Sophia, about 20 years of marriage, about standing in front of my congregation every Sunday, about the journal entries, about the 347 messages, about John's threats. I've been living a lie for 18 months, I said. I'm ready for the truth. He pulled out the blood draw kit. Then let's get started. If you were Marcus, would you open that envelope immediately, type open it, or wait until you had support around you, type wait? What would you do? There's no right answer. Fear makes us all different. I waited. I called Elder Reed. I needed witness to whatever truth was inside. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I taught. I preached at the midweek service. I counseled couples about their marriages. I smiled at Rebecca over breakfast. I asked about her pregnancy symptoms. I rubbed her feet when she said they were swollen. I was methodical, mechanical. Grief pressed down like a weight, but I functioned through it. Saturday, I met with Detective Sarah Mitchell, church member, retired from Charlotte PD. Now a private investigator. We sat in her car in a grocery store parking lot, neutral ground. I showed her everything, the photos, the screenshots, the timeline. You need this documented, she said. Properly, chain of custody, in case it goes to court. Can you help? I can, but Marcus, once I start building this case officially, things move fast. You ready for that? Not yet. I need the paternity results first, then I move. She nodded. I'll prepare everything. Witness statements, timeline analysis, financial records, see if church money was involved. When you're ready to pull the trigger, it'll be loaded. Thank you. One more thing. She looked at me seriously. She's going to try to control the narrative. When she realizes you know, and she will, she's going to try to spin it. Make herself the victim. Get ahead of you. You need to be ready to respond immediately. The envelope sat in my desk drawer, waiting, Sunday morning, 2 weeks after the announcement. I stood at the pulpit. 2,200 people in the sanctuary, 8,000 watching online. Rebecca led worship, her voice soaring, that silver necklace catching the stage lights. John sat in the third row, watching her, smiling. I preached about forgiveness, about grace, about how God's mercy covers our deepest failures. Every word felt like glass in my throat. After service, people congratulated us again, asked how Rebecca was feeling, when the baby was due, if we'd started thinking about names. I smiled, said all the right things. That night, the envelope arrived. Dr. Chen brought it to my house personally, handed it to me in my study. White business envelope, lab logo, red stamp, confidential. My name typed on a label. I held it. The paper was crisp, official, heavy with what was inside. Marcus, Dr. Chen said quietly, before you open this, are you prepared for what comes next? There's no going back from the truth. I stared at the envelope, thought about Sophia, about Rebecca, about 20 years of marriage, about John's threats, about standing at that pulpit every Sunday. I'm ready, I said. I opened it. The report was 1 page, medical terminology, genetic markers, percentages, bottom line, clear as day. Probability of paternity 0.00%, 0%. The baby Rebecca was carrying was not mine. Monday morning, I called my attorney, a firm in Uptown Charlotte, recommended by Elder Reed, specializing in clergy divorces. Yes, that was a specialty. I need divorce papers prepared, I told her. Grounds, adultery. I have evidence, phone records, journal entries, paternity test, showing the child isn't mine. I need this airtight. How quickly? This week. That's fast. I know. Can you do it? Yes, but Mr. Whitmore, once you file, it becomes public record. Are you prepared for that? I'm prepared. Tuesday afternoon, the papers arrived, standard legal-size manila envelope, thick stack of papers inside, yellow highlight tabs marking where I needed to sign. The lawyer's business card paperclipped to the front. I held the envelope. It had weight, authority, finality. I signed where indicated, had Elder Reed witness. Put the envelope in my desk drawer next to the paternity test results, ready. Detective Sarah said, Marcus, she's going to try to control the narrative. When she does, and she will, you need to be ready to respond immediately. The envelope sat in my desk drawer, waiting. Thursday evening, week 3 since the announcement. Rebecca asked if we could talk. I need to tell you something, she said. We were in the kitchen. I was making dinner. Chicken and vegetables, normal, domestic. Okay, I said. She sat at the table, folded her hands, that silver necklace around her throat. Marcus, I've been thinking a lot about us, about our marriage, about the future. I kept chopping vegetables, didn't turn around. And, I said, I'm not sure about us anymore. The knife stilled in my hand. She continued, I think we need space. I need to figure out what I want. This pregnancy, it's made me realize how disconnected we've become. You're always working, always at the church, always everyone else's pastor. But when are you my husband? I put the knife down, turned around. She had tears in her eyes, perfect, crystalline tears. I think, she said carefully, we should consider a separation, just for a little while, so I can think clearly, so we can figure out if this marriage is what we both still want. I looked at her, this woman I'd loved for 23 years, this woman I'd built a life with, this woman carrying another man's child. You want space? I said flatly. Yes. To think? Yes. About us? Yes. I reached into my briefcase, pulled out the manila envelope, heavy, authoritative, final. I walked to the table, placed it in front of her. What's this? She asked. Divorce papers, I said. Grounds, adultery, citing your 18-month affair with John Castellano, including evidence from your journal, your burner phone, the hotel in Seattle, and the paternity test showing that the child you're carrying is not mine. Her face went white. Marcus. I know everything, Rebecca. The journal in your car, the phone in your piano bench, the 347 messages, the Seattle trip, the pregnancy plan, all of it. You went through my things? Her voice rose. You invaded my privacy? You invaded our marriage. She stood up, hands shaking. How dare you? How dare you? After everything I've given this church, everything I've sacrificed, you think you can just spy on me and... I'm not sure about us either, Rebecca, I said quietly. These are divorce papers. Sign them. Get a lawyer. Figure out your next steps. I walked to the door, stopped, turned back. Oh, Rebecca, say hi to John for me. I left her standing in the kitchen, the envelope in her hands, the truth finally between us. She stared at the envelope, started to open it. I walked to the door, stopped, turned back. Say hi to John for me. Friday afternoon, I was in my office at church, going over the Thanksgiving gala budget, trying to focus. My phone buzzed. Sophia. Dad, what the hell is going on? My stomach dropped. Honey, I got a call from Mom. She's hysterical. She said you filed for divorce. She said you're accusing her of having an affair. She said you're trying to take everything from her. Dad, what is happening? Sophia, where are you? I'm in my car, driving home from Chapel Hill. I'll be there in 2 hours, and you better have answers. She hung up. I sat there, phone in my hand. This was it. The moment I'd been dreading. The moment when my daughter's world shattered. I called Elder Reed. Sophia's coming home. She knows about the divorce. Rebecca got to her first. Do you want me there? No, this is something I have to do alone. Sophia arrived at 6 o'clock, burst into my office without knocking. 21 years old, my daughter, my little girl, fury in her eyes. Explain, she demanded. Right now. Explain what you're doing to Mom. Sit down, Sophia. I don't want to sit down. I want you to tell me why you're destroying our family. Please, sit. She sat, barely, perched on the edge of the chair, ready to bolt. I opened my desk drawer, pulled out the blue leather journal. This is your mother's journal, I said. I found it in her car 3 weeks ago. I need you to read it. I'm not reading Mom's private. Sophia, please, read it. She took the journal, opened it, started reading. I watched her face change, confusion, disbelief, horror. She read 3 entries, 4, 5. Then she looked up at me. This is fake. You made this up. That's your mother's handwriting. You know it is. But she wouldn't. I pulled out my phone, showed her the screenshots from the burner phone. She scrolled, read the messages. Her hands started shaking. The baby, she whispered. The miracle baby. It's John's. The paternity test is there, in the folder. 0% probability it's mine. She kept scrolling, reading, tears streaming down her face now. Finally, she looked up. How long? 18 months. And you just found out? 3 weeks ago. The pregnancy announcement. I realized the timeline didn't work. I was in Kenya when the baby was conceived. She closed the journal. Her hands were shaking. She looked up at me. Daddy, I'm so sorry. My throat closed up. For what? I came here to yell at you. I thought Mom said you were being unreasonable, that you were having some kind of midlife crisis, that you were accusing her of things she didn't do. I told my friends you were being crazy. I defended her to everyone. You didn't know. I should have known. I'm studying social work, family systems, deception. My whole dissertation is about family honesty. I used our family as the example of healthy communication, and it was all, her voice broke, it was all a lie. Sophia, was any of it real? She was crying fully now. Our family, our life, was any of it real? Or have I been living in some fantasy while she was? I came around the desk, knelt in front of her chair, took her hands. Your mother and I, we had 20 good years, really good years. I don't know when it changed. I don't know when I stopped being enough for her. But Sophia, you were real. You are real. Our love for you, that part was always true. What about the baby? What happens to the baby? I don't know yet. That's between your mother and John and whatever they decide. But I can't. My voice cracked. I can't raise another man's child while being lied to. I can't teach about truth and covenant and live a lie. I built my life on truth. I can't rebuild it on deception. She threw her arms around me, sobbed into my shoulder. Daddy, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. We stayed like that for a long time, my daughter and me, holding each other while her world fell apart. Finally, she pulled back, wiped her eyes. What happens now? Now? Your mother and I get divorced. John resigns or gets fired. The baby gets placed somewhere safe, and we figure out how to move forward. Together? Together, if you want. I want. She looked down at the journal again, her mother's handwriting, her mother's words describing the affair in detail. Can I keep this? She asked quietly. Why? Because part of me still doesn't believe it. Part of me thinks I'm going to wake up and this will all be a nightmare, and I need proof that it's real, that this actually happened. I nodded. Keep it. She stood up, gathered her things, the journal, her purse, her phone. At the door, she turned back. What about the baby? What happens to the baby? Saturday morning, Elder Reed called an emergency board meeting, 12 board members, all senior leadership. Pastor Linda Okafor, the treasurer, the deacons, people who'd been with Grace Community for decades, people who'd watched me grow up, people who'd ordained me. We met in the conference room, doors closed, blinds drawn. Elder Reed opened. Thank you all for coming on short notice. Marcus has something he needs to share with the board. It concerns a matter of church leadership and pastoral conduct. Before he begins, what's said in this room stays in this room until we decide how to proceed. Understood? Everyone nodded. I stood, laid the evidence on the table, the journal, printouts of the phone messages, all 347 of them, the paternity test results, the divorce filing. 3 weeks ago, I began, my wife announced she was pregnant. The congregation celebrated, I celebrated, but the timeline didn't work. I was in Kenya during the conception window. Silence. I found evidence of an 18-month affair between Rebecca and John Castellano. It's documented in her journal, in messages on a burner phone they've been using. The pregnancy is the result of that affair. A paternity test confirms 0% probability the child is mine. Pastor Linda put her hand over her mouth. I continued. I've filed for divorce, grounds, adultery. Rebecca has been served. John doesn't know I have evidence of his involvement yet, but he will. Marcus, the treasurer said quietly, do you have proof beyond the journal and messages? I spread the documents across the table. Hotel receipts, financial records, timeline analysis from Detective Sarah Mitchell, witness statements from cleaning staff who saw them together after hours, credit card statements showing purchases John made for Rebecca, including the necklace she wears constantly. It's all here. They read, passed documents around, faces growing harder. Finally, Elder Reed spoke. John Castellano needs to resign immediately before this becomes a scandal. Agreed, said Pastor Linda. But Marcus, you need to decide. Do we make this public or handle it quietly? Before I could answer, there was a knock on the door. Rebecca. She didn't wait for permission, walked in, saw the evidence spread on the table, saw 12 faces looking at her. I'm part of this leadership team, she said, her voice shaking. If you're discussing me, I have a right to be here. Elder Reed stood. Rebecca, you can either leave voluntarily or we can ask you to leave. This is a board matter concerning pastoral conduct. My conduct? She looked at me. Or his. Marcus went through my private belongings, invaded my privacy, stalked me, spied on me, and now he's trying to destroy my reputation because what? Because he's having a midlife crisis? Rebecca, I said quietly, they've seen the journal, the messages, the proof. Don't make this worse. She stared at the table, at the evidence laid out like an autopsy. Her face crumbled. It's true, she whispered. All of it. I had an affair with John. The baby is probably his. I planned to tell Marcus it was his. I planned to lie. The room was absolutely silent. "I'm so sorry," she said, started crying. "I'm so sorry. I don't know how it started. I don't know when I became this person, but it's true." Pastor Linda stood, walked to Rebecca, put a hand on her shoulder, not comforting, just present. "You need to leave now," Linda said gently. "We'll discuss next steps, but you need to leave." Rebecca looked at me one more time. Then she walked out. After she left, Elder Reed picked up his phone, called John. "John, this is Elder Reed. I need you in my office in 20 minutes. It's urgent." John arrived 30 minutes later, walked into a room full of board members and evidence he couldn't deny. He tried to explain, tried to blame Rebecca, tried to say it was complicated. Finally, Elder Reed placed a single piece of paper in front of him. "Resignation letter," Reed said. "Effective immediately. You sign it, you leave quietly. We don't press charges for misuse of church resources or violation of your employment contract. You refuse, we fire you publicly and make sure every church in the country knows why." John's hand shook as he signed. He left without looking at anyone. After he was gone, the board turned to me. "Marcus," Elder Reed said, "the board needs to vote. Do we want you to continue as senior pastor?" "Yes," said Pastor Linda immediately. "Yes," said the treasurer. Every hand went up, unanimous. "Then here's what we propose," Elder Reed continued. "You take a 3-month sabbatical, paid, with full support. Let this settle. Let the divorce process happen. Let your family heal. We'll handle the public messaging, and when you're ready, you come back." I looked at these people, this board, this church, my family for 42 years. "Thank you," I said. John's resignation letter was on the table before she finished speaking. Sunday morning. I hadn't slept, hadn't prepared a sermon, didn't know what I was going to say. 2,200 people in the sanctuary, 8,000 online. The scandal had leaked. Of course it had. Small church community, word spreads. People knew something was happening. They just didn't know what. Sophia sat in the front row. She'd driven back from Chapel Hill, wanted to be there. My mother, Amanda, sat beside her, 70 years old. She'd driven from Raleigh when I called her, told her I needed her. The worship team played without Rebecca. Someone else led. The songs felt hollow. Then it was time. I walked to the pulpit, looked out at the congregation, faces I'd known my whole life, people I'd baptized, married, buried, counseled through divorces and cancer and bankruptcy and addiction. "I need to tell you something," I said, "and I need you to hear it from me. Not from gossip, not from rumors, from me." The sanctuary went silent. 3 weeks ago, Rebecca announced we were having a baby. Many of you celebrated with us. You rejoiced, you prayed, you sent cards and gifts and love. I paused, breathed. "That baby is not mine." Gasps, murmurs, shock rippling through the congregation. Rebecca has been having an affair with John Castellano for 18 months. The pregnancy is the result of that affair. I have filed for divorce. John has resigned from his position. The board has been informed and has voted unanimously to support me through this transition. Silence now. Absolute silence. I tell you this because I can't stand here and preach about truth while living a lie. I can't counsel you about covenant while my own marriage is broken. I can't teach you about integrity while hiding behind a facade. My voice was steady, calm. Years of preaching, years of pastoral presence. But underneath was a man falling apart. Some of you will judge me. Some of you will judge Rebecca. Some of you will judge both of us. That's okay. We live in a fallen world. We're all broken people trying to figure out how to love each other well. I looked at Sophia. She was crying, but she was here. I don't have a sermon prepared today. I didn't sleep last night. I don't have 5 points in a poem. I don't have a clever illustration or a moving story. I stopped speaking. 2,200 people watching, waiting. I looked down at my left hand, the gold ring I'd worn for 20 years, plain band, slightly worn, inscribed inside, though no one could see it, Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. The ring had weight, not much, maybe 5 grams. But after 20 years, you feel it. It's part of you. An extension of your finger. You spin it when you're nervous, touch it when you're thinking. It's always there until it's not. I took it off. The silence was absolute. I held it up, let the light catch it, then I placed it on the pulpit. The wood was polished, solid. The ring made a tiny sound when it touched down, a soft click. That's all. 20 years reduced to a click. This ring, I said, represented a promise. I kept my promise. The person I made it with didn't. My voice was steady, but tears were running down my face now. I've taught you that integrity means keeping your word even when others break theirs. Today I show you what that looks like. It looks like this. It looks like taking off a ring that no longer represents truth. It looks like choosing honesty over comfort, choosing yourself over a beautiful lie, choosing freedom over a cage. I looked at the congregation, at Sophia, at my mother. I built my life on truth, I said, and truth set me free. The congregation was silent. Then someone started clapping, slowly. Then another person, then another, then they were standing. All of them, 2,200 people, standing ovation. I stood there, ring on the pulpit, tears on my face, free. I stopped mid-sentence, looked down at my left hand, took off the ring, placed it on the pulpit, and I said, I built my life on truth, and truth set me free. The weeks that followed were a blur. Rebecca moved out, stayed with her sister in Durham. We didn't speak except through lawyers. The divorce proceedings were straightforward. She didn't contest, didn't fight. The evidence was overwhelming. The baby was due in March, 7 months away. Linda Okafor came to me one afternoon. We were in my office, still my office, though I was technically on sabbatical. I need to tell you something, she said, about the baby. Okay. There's a couple in our congregation, David and Sarah Chen. They've been trying to have children for 8 years, multiple rounds of IVF, miscarriages. They're good people, Marcus, strong faith, stable marriage. They want to adopt. And Rebecca reached out to me. She doesn't want to raise John's baby. She can't. It would be a reminder of everything. John's parents in New York, his father's a hedge fund manager, his mother's an attorney. They want to adopt their grandchild, give the baby a good home. I thought about that, about John's parents raising Rebecca's child, about the baby growing up in New York with grandparents who could provide everything material. That sounds like a good outcome, I said. It does. Rebecca's going to sign over parental rights as part of the divorce settlement. John's parents will adopt. It's clean, legal. The baby will be loved. I nodded, felt a weight lift. Thank you for telling me. Linda stood to leave, paused at the door. Marcus, you handled this with more grace than most people could. I want you to know that. After she left, I sat in my office, looked around at the books, the photos, 20 years of ministry. I pulled out the wedding Bible, burgundy leather, gold initials, the dried flower still pressed between the Psalms. I called Sophia. Hey, baby girl, can you come by the church? She arrived 20 minutes later, walked into my office like she used to when she was little, before college, before the world got complicated. What's up, Dad? I handed her the Bible. This was your mother's and mine. We carried it on our wedding day, made promises with our hands on this book. She turned it over in her hands, opened to the flower. Some promises get broken, I said. That's the reality of living in a fallen world. But faith remains. Truth remains. Love remains. Why are you giving this to me? Because you need to know that even when people fail you, and they will, the foundation holds. What we build on truth, that survives. What we build on lies, that crumbles. She hugged the Bible to her chest, tears in her eyes. I love you, Dad. I love you too. 3 months later, I stood in my mother's kitchen. She'd invited me for Sunday dinner, just the two of us. We were washing dishes, radio playing softly, normal, domestic. "I need to tell you something," she said. "Okay." She dried a plate, set it down carefully. "Your father had an affair." I stopped washing, turned to look at her. "What?" "When you were 10 years old, your father had an affair with a woman in the church. It lasted 6 months. I found out. He apologized. We went to counseling. I stayed." "Mom, I never knew." "I didn't want you to know. Didn't want it to color your relationship with him. But Marcus, I need you to understand something. I stayed. I thought I was doing the right thing. For you, for the church, for our image." She turned to face me fully. "He apologized. We did the work. We stayed together until he died. But Marcus, he never respected me again. Not really. I saw it in his eyes for 20 years. Every time we argued, every time I disagreed with him, he looked at me like I was the woman who'd stayed with a cheater, like I'd lost my self-respect. And he was right." Her voice cracked. "I lost myself trying to save a marriage that was already dead. I gave up my dignity, my self-worth, everything, because I thought staying was noble." She took my hands. "You're doing what I should have done, son. You're choosing yourself before you lose yourself. You're teaching Sophia that self-respect matters, that truth matters, that staying in a broken situation doesn't make you noble, it makes you complicit." Tears ran down her face. "I'm so proud of you." I hugged my mother, this woman who'd carried her own pain for 30 years, this woman who'd watched me make a different choice, a harder choice, a better choice. "Thank you," I whispered, "for telling me." Marcus and Sophia redefined what family means. Not who you're born to, not the image you present, but who shows up when everything falls apart, who chooses you when choosing you is hard. If you've built your own chosen family, blood or not, tell me about them in the comments. I want to hear those stories. And if this story moved you, subscribe. I tell stories about courage, truth, and starting over. Real people, real choices, real consequences. I'll see you in the next one. 6 months later, March. The baby was born, a boy, 8 pounds, 3 ounces, healthy, perfect. John's parents came from New York, met their grandson, signed the adoption papers. Rebecca relinquished parental rights without contest. It was clean, legal, final. The baby would grow up in Manhattan, private schools, museum trips, a grandmother who practiced law, and a grandfather who managed billions, loved, wanted, cared for. Rebecca took a visiting professor position in California, music theory at a small liberal arts college. She needed distance, space, a fresh start. John disappeared, left Charlotte. Last I heard, he was working in tech again. No more ministry. Maybe that was best. And me? I came back, April 1st, spring. The sanctuary was packed, more people than before. Word had spread about the scandal, about the sermon, about the ring. People wanted to see, wanted to witness, wanted to know if broken things could heal. I walked to the pulpit, the same pulpit where I'd removed my ring 6 months ago. Sophia sat in the front row, my daughter, my ally, stronger now. Her dissertation had pivoted. Instead of writing about family honesty in theory, she was writing about family recovery from deception, using our story, with my permission. My mother sat beside her, Amanda, 70 years old, free from the weight she'd carried for 30 years. We talked every week now, really talked, about Dad, about her choices, about mine. The sanctuary was full, 2,300 people, more than before. The live stream had 12,000 viewers, growth through crisis, resurrection through death. Pastor Linda introduced me, simple, clean. Our senior pastor, Marcus Whitmore. Applause, standing ovation. They sat. I looked out at them, these people, this church, my family. "I'm going to tell you about second chances," I said. I preached about redemption, about starting over, about how sometimes the most faithful thing you can do is walk away from what's broken. how sometimes grace means letting go. I talked about the support group we were starting for people dealing with infidelity, betrayal, divorce. 15 people had already signed up. Sophia was going to co-facilitate, use her psychology training, her lived experience. I talked about truth, about authenticity, about building your life on foundations that can withstand earthquakes. And as I preached, sunlight streamed through the stained glass windows, red and blue and gold and green, colors dancing across the congregation. The light caught my left hand, no ring, just the faint tan line where it used to be, already fading. In a few more months, it would be gone completely, like it was never there. But I would remember, always, the weight of that ring, the moment I took it off, the click when it hit the pulpit, the freedom that came after. I'm standing at the same pulpit where I removed my wedding ring 6 months ago. Sophia's in the front row, my mother's beside her. The sanctuary's fuller than it's ever been. Sunlight streams through the stained glass, and it catches on my left hand. No ring, just the faint tan line that's starting to fade. I'm preaching about second chances, about choosing yourself before you lose yourself, about building your life on truth. And for the first time in 20 years, when I say those words, when I say I built my life on truth, I mean every single one. The congregation responds. Amen. I smile. The service ends. People come forward, shake my hand, hug me, tell me their own stories of betrayal and survival and second chances. I listen, really listen, because I understand now. I understand what it costs to tell the truth. I understand what it costs to walk away. I understand what it costs to rebuild. And I understand that sometimes, most of the time, it's worth it. Sophia waits until everyone else has left. Then she walks up to the pulpit, hugs me. I'm proud of you, Dad. I'm proud of you too, baby girl. You ready to go? Mom said she's making your favorite dinner. Your grandmother's pot roast? The very same. We walk out together, father and daughter, chosen family, built on truth, stronger for having been broken. Behind us, the sanctuary empties. The lights dim. The stained glass windows go dark. But tomorrow, they'll light up again. They always do.